With Airbnb, you can run into many different situations. You'll get the short-term tenant who wants to stay a day or two. You can even get the long-term tenants who wants to stay a couple of months because they're in town for a couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever, and they want to hang around for a while. So having a place you can kind of call your own is helpful with the Airbnb. In this case, we see a situation where a tenant had overstayed without paying rent for 17 months. So let's take a look. Here it notes, Airbnb tenant refuses to leave after staying in Brentwood home for 17 months rent-free. This article was published October 5th, 2023. So basically this dentist purchased the property in 1995. It notes through the years he's remodeled it, and in 2019 decided to rent the guest house on Airbnb. So the tenant was looking for a place to stay for 6 months, and that was more than 2 years ago. So as you can see, this is a multi-million-dollar mansion in Hollywood Hills. The article notes repairs to the guest house were needed 4 months into the visit for the tenant, and the tenant wasn't happy about that. That caused some initial animosity before the tenant and led to some conflicts between the tenant and the property owner. The article notes because they made an unofficial agreement where the tenant would stay long-term, Airbnb was no longer getting involved in the matter. It's basically out of Airbnb's area, so the tenant and the landlord have to deal with it on their own. Another issue is the guest house itself didn't have the proper permits, so the dentist needed to find a legal reason to evict her, which he hasn't done so successfully so far. The tenant stopped paying in April 2022, according to documents, but still lives there. The dentist notes he didn't originally intend to list his home on Airbnb, but during the Getty Center fire in 2019, he and his family were forced to move out, and some of their neighbors lost their homes. They moved into an Airbnb and enjoyed the experience. They said, hey, we have part of our house that's empty, why don't we try putting it out on an Airbnb? End of the article notes that the owner just wants the tenant gone, and he's nearly owed $60,000 in past due rent. Here's an updated article from November 7th, 2023. The LA mansion owner, the dentist, notes that the tenant from hell has finally moved out, but left the guest house smelly and infested with flies. So the tenant was ready to move out, but was asking the dentist to pay her a $100,000 relocation fee in order to move out. Almost a cash for keys situation. Obviously that wasn't palatable to the dentist, so he was proceeding with legal action. So after the tenant had finally left and noted the unit was empty, but it was infested with flies, there was a smell, it was dirty. He notes that he did change the locks so she can never return. It was noted that someone on behalf of the dentist contacted the attorney for the tenant to suggest canceling the upcoming eviction hearing, and he was told that the property should only be considered temporarily vacated. The dentist was told that he jumped the gun by changing the locks, and the tenant was expressing concern over the constant harassment and surveillance. It notes that the tenant was a Harvard graduate and now is reportedly staying at a fully furnished apartment in an extended stay hotel in downtown LA, which costs $3,600 a month. The tenant rented a long-term stay at the guest house starting in September 2021 for 6 months at a rate of $105 a night, which brought the fees to a total of $20,793. Her rental expired in March 2022, but she decided to extend it another month. After that, she would not leave and has been living there rent-free. The dentist brought a lawsuit against her to get her evicted, but a LA judge ruled that he had no legal reason to get her out of there under the Just Cause ordinance and would be required to pay her a relocation fee if he wanted her gone. So the tenant's attorney said she wanted $100,000 as a relocation fee and she should not have to pay any rent. It was also noted that the tenant had previously refused to leave another property months before she moved into the dentist. Takeaway is to always screen your tenants properly. Call prior landlords when renting out to new tenants, whether they be short-term or long-term. Especially when you're transitioning from short-term to a long-term, always do your due diligence. So this is a situation of the tenant from hell. Basically, get into a situation where you get the wrong tenant, whether it be short-term, long-term. You can always run into this issue, and especially during the COVID time where evictions were paused or foreclosures were paused. A lot of people were sticking around. As a result, we saw rents going up across the board. What are your thoughts about this situation? How would you have handled it? Do you have different state laws that would not allow such a situation? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.